Story 1. I have no idea what to do because I don't know when it is happening. A girl started a conversation with me at the grocery store near the peanut butter. We were both holding a jar of the peanut butter. Finally, she toasted me with her jar and walked away. I ran into her a couple of aisles later. She just looked at me and said, "You know I was hitting on you, right?" And then walked away. I had no clue. Story 2. Immediate suspicion about being a honeypot and that there are criminals waiting to rob me. Or she wants me to do something or pay for something. Or she is having fun with me and will ridicule me if I respond in kind. This simply does not happen to me. I am too unattractive and unappealing. Story 3. I wouldn't notice it. If I did notice it, I would think her boyfriend or someone is hiding somewhere, ready to rob or kill me, possibly both. Story 4. 1. Look for someone filming. Look for suspicious men nearby. Play along cautiously. Try to detect if there is a scam. Do not fully reciprocate anything just in case. Story 5. If I actually manage to recognize what is happening, I would immediately question if she has a group of friends watching and if it is a joke at my expense. In 41 years, I have been approached by exactly one woman, and it was only so she could make fun of me in front of 5 of her friends. Story 6. I am happily married, so I usually act as if I am missing all her signals, since most men genuinely do anyway. Story 7. A girl whom my best friend liked started flirting with me. First, I pretended not to notice. Then I gradually started acting more and more rude. In the end, I just left that whole group. None of it made things better. Story 8. Honestly, I would probably just be nice out of courtesy. If I were genuinely interested in them, I might ask to understand why they are doing what they are doing. Could it kill the vibe? Probably. But I do not function well on assumptions. Story 9. I realized months later she was flirting. I was telling a story to my friends about a strange encounter I had with a woman earlier in the day, and they told me she was flirting with me. Story 10. I like to be flirted with if it starts out sweet and not aggressive. One time, a lady came on to me strongly. She directly asked if she could perform oral sex on me, and I was scared I was about to get my kidney stolen or be mugged. Story 11. I would not want to make things awkward by potentially misreading a situation, so I assume I am incorrect in my assumption. Some girls have recognized this and are blunt with their advances, which I find very attractive. I am not saying I do not like making moves, but I have to be 100% sure and communicative, which is sometimes not very attractive in terms of spontaneity. Story 12. I say this as a decent-looking man. Most women are just being kind. Flirting is very obvious. Being kind is simply being kind. Story 13. My default is that they are joking just to see my reaction. I genuinely do not believe it, even when I know they are being sincere. Story 14. Yes, I am newly married and at a sales meeting. The potential customer, who is the very attractive CEO, asked if I wanted to go up to her room for a drink. My new shiny gold ring started to glow hot red, and I excused myself after thanking her for the invitation. Story 15. I have never noticed. I will convince myself of anything else besides a woman flirting with me. I have missed many opportunities by being oblivious and unable to believe that a woman would ever flirt with me. Story 16. First of all, you have to realize they are flirting with you and not just being friendly. But let's assume you are confident and can identify it right away. Then my question becomes, is she good? If so, there will be no defenses. Why would I defend against something I want? If she is not good, then some sort of avoidant behavior is my go-to. I say, I have some work to do, then escape. Story 17. Self-defense mode after a woman flirts? You don't even have to tell me you are from a progressive country if you go into defensive mode after a female flirts. Kind of sad, to be honest. Story 18. No, I have never been in defense mode when a girl flirts with me. I have to say I usually don't notice it until after it has happened. Story 19. My commitment to my marriage and family is always clear. Whether in subtle details such as a ring on my finger or in behaviors and situations where I cannot be alone or seen as a single man. This itself keeps me away from unwanted situations like this, But unfortunately, some women have a preference for very committed men. Believe me, many very committed men lack emotional preparation or even respect for their wives and end up giving in. A similar situation has happened to me at one time or another. I was a client and simply disappeared from the community. I do not think it is necessary to do anything more. It is a silent deviation that happens naturally. It does not need applause, discussion, or treatment. If there is no way to cut off contact, such as if it occurs at work, cut it straight to the root with just a few compromise words, and that is it. Do not continue justifying or preparing your speech. Be direct. If this happens repeatedly with women hitting on you, analyze your posture. Sometimes you are behaving in a way that does not present you as committed. Story 20. I usually do not even know that they are trying unless it is very, very obvious. Like, let us do this. Story 21. Yes, that happens to me often from both men and women. I just tell them I am not interested. Oh yes, I am straight, by the way, not that I am being homophobic. Story 22. There are many women who believe that being nice is flirting. I have had conversations with a cashier or someone that were going well until my wife showed up. Then they would become quiet or sometimes even mean. My wife tries to tell me they were flirting, and I just think, what? All they did was talk about fake $100 bills. She did not even compliment me, so I had no reaction. If it is something I can recognize, I feel flattered and tell them I am not interested. But they made my day. Story 23. A girl once touched me on the ribs to show me that I should not be nervous about physical contact. I involuntarily jerked my whole body, pressing her hand against the brick wall next to us and scraping it a bit. From then on, I made a conscious choice to suppress all my defense mechanisms. Story 24. We are so conditioned to believe this would never happen that we either would not be aware or would assume there is some ulterior motive. When I was a teenager, girls flirted with me just to play a prank. If I reacted positively in any way, they would say, "Ew," and run back to their friends pretending to gag. In university, a friend had a woman come up to him and act very flirty and handsy. Sometime after he shooed her away, he noticed she had taken his wallet. It is a difficult situation for everyone. Men want women to make the first move sometimes, but at the same time, we are not likely to believe it. Story 25. If by off chance I pick it up, I converse and try to enjoy the conversation. However, I also observe my surroundings. In my hometown, sometimes a pretty face could be the end of you. Story 26. I am an average-looking, middle-aged white man with an average-looking body, and I get flirted with at work almost every day by a handful of 20-something Indian women. They call me handsome, bring me Indian treats, brush by me a little too close, and so on. I treat them kindly and have learned a few phrases in their language. It's wonderful. I have no expectations, so I just smile and go along with it. Sometimes I even encourage it a little. I would not want it to go beyond flirting, but some days it feels really good. So why would I engage self-defense modes? Story 27. I would be suspicious at first because women do not see me that way. If it persisted, I would know they had very poor taste or judgment. Story 28. As a married man, I cannot lean into it. I will shut it down as gently as I can. I do not want her to feel any self-esteem issues while making it clear that I cannot reciprocate her advances. Story 29. I have no idea if someone is flirting with me. I'm not sure if it's a self-defense mechanism or downplaying it, but I've had women kiss me, and even then, I find myself questioning it. If a woman were flirting with me so obviously that I noticed, I would probably look around for cameras. Story 30. I have a badge on the back of the lapel of my jacket that says, "Sorry ladies, I am not interested." Story 31. I have had a woman be extremely forward with me recently. My immediate reactions were confusion and doubt. I wondered if I was being pranked. Why would she say these things and act this way? It made me realize how often men do not receive direct compliments. I am trying to take it in stride and accept her forwardness as it is without questioning it too much, but it is difficult. Story 32. Even if it is very obvious, I would be looking around thinking, no, it cannot be talking to me, and still be like, wait, what? Story 33. Most of the time, I do not pick it up, and when I do, I pretend to be unaware. I am married to a cool spouse. There is no reason to cause trouble. Story 34. Mostly, women just try to be nice or want to be part of the conversation, especially at the workspace. I treat them like any other person. One day, a colleague complimented my shirt, so I told her the brand name and store where I purchased it. Story 35. Unpopular opinion. Women are terrible at flirting because they nonverbally send confusing signals that are difficult to interpret, and then do not understand why men completely miss their cryptic messages. You are not telling me you like me by looking my way, then looking elsewhere, and back again at a 45-degree angle with a hair flick exactly 2.4 seconds after repositioning, without saying any clear words. Story 36. A few times on public transit, I have been approached by both men and women. My initial reaction is to feel flattered and respond with a chuckle, but depending on how exhausted I am from work, I may tell them that I do not appreciate being approached when trapped here with them until I reach my stop. Story 37. I would probably try to flirt right back. However, my mind would go into analysis mode depending on the situation or scenario, such as at a bar or work. Is she a prostitute? Is she selling something like timeshares or multi-level marketing products? Is she looking for a place to rent or trying to avoid homelessness? I own some rental properties. Is she after money? Does she have credit card or student loan debt? I am doing extremely well financially now. Is she trying to get free drinks? Is she looking for a ride somewhere? I have experienced all of the above, not including legitimate friends asking for help properly. At previous employers, I encountered a few women who were flirty just for the sake of being flirty, but with a great deal of sexual innuendo. Is it a defense mechanism? Am I being set up? If I flirt back, will I get fired? I really needed the job at the time. Personally, I loved it, though. I never got fired. Just some women in their late 30s or early 40s trying to make a 23-year-old guy blush and feel young and beautiful. Story 38. If I find her attractive, I flirt back, even if I am not strictly interested in pursuing. It can be fun, and my experience is that it usually makes us both feel good about ourselves. If I do not find her attractive, I usually play clueless and act a little cold while still being polite. I have no idea what self-defense mode you are talking about. Story 39. Usually it has been confusing. One time I met a friend of a friend and thought, oh, she is cute. Out of my league. Just be calm. We were just chatting, and she asked what I did for fun. I gave my usual basic answers and then realized she was keeping the conversation going. After that, my friend told me her friend liked me. Another time, a work colleague mentioned we should get coffee sometime. I said, sure. I will let you know when I have time during the day. She then grabbed my arm and said, no, I mean meet up outside work. Even when I sense that a girl might be flirting, I avoid it because I think maybe she is just being friendly or something. Story 40. If she is doing a good enough job at it, meaning I notice, I would question if she wants something from me. After some investigation, I would reciprocate if she is being genuine. Every time I have noticed a woman flirting with me, I have tested for what she wants. I had to do this with all the automated online profiles. Story 41. Probably shut off or remove myself. You know how sometimes life is so difficult you do not want to listen to music? The same goes for relationships. Especially if it is really flirty and forward, I instantly get a twisting feeling in my gut and remove myself from it completely. Story 42. Depends, the internet is strange. I am never at my best. In real life, I am not really at my best either. It feels strange when it comes from anyone I do not actually know. Story 43. I am extremely dense and have terrible anxiety. I have had people tell me someone was flirting, but I was oblivious. Story 44. I was either too oblivious to notice or suspicious. I was the weird, awkward kid in middle and high school. Girls pretended to be interested in me as a joke or part of a dare more than once. My self-confidence was already low, and that made me think I was too damaged in some inherent way to be worthy of affection. As a result, my guard was usually up if I thought a girl was showing interest. She's into me? No way. No girls are ever into me. This has to be a setup or she wants something. That belief was reinforced by my experience as an auto mechanic. I had multiple women call in flirtations to try to get free or heavily discounted repairs. The act stopped almost immediately every time I refused, and I was met with indignation most of the time. This leaves me in a bad mental place. I do wish to meet a woman I can build a family with, but I often feel unworthy of such things and suspicious of anyone who shows interest. I know it is a bad mindset, and I do not want to feel that way. Even if I break that habit, I am still pretty shy, and I tend to lock up easily under romantic tension. I have dated only a couple of women even into my late 20s, and my last date was 5 years ago. So I am not predisposed to being flirtatious. It would be very clumsy and awkward. Story 45. Usually I either do not register it or I become cautious. I do not really understand most socializing, and I do not believe I am attractive. The thing is, reacting that way has backfired on me. Many years ago, an incredibly attractive woman approached me in college. However, I became paranoid and thought she wanted something, so I pushed her away. This was not the case. We are somewhat friends now, and I admitted that I was insecure about what happened. Story 46. A girl I met at work started flirting with me about a week after meeting her. And honestly, it made me feel good. She told a friend she liked me and would make flirtatious comments every day that I saw her. She is honestly one of the most beautiful women I have ever met. Fast forward 5 months, and to this day, I do not even know for sure if she was serious when she said, "I would go on a date with you," because I always thought she was joking and messing around. I don't see her anymore because I changed delivery routes at work, but she started seeing someone else before I changed routes, and it honestly made me feel sad. Even though I don't see her anymore, I still think about her all the time. She is never off my mind. I just wish I could be with her, but it won't happen. Story 47. The first obstacle would be actually realizing. The second would be me absolutely thinking it is some kind of joke, and it cannot possibly be true. 3 times growing up it happened to me, and 3 times it was a prank. It is hard to get out of that mindset years later. Story 48. Have I ever experienced a woman flirting with me? Seriously? Of course. Are you saying you have not? I have even flirted with women that did not lead to a relationship. We were both just having so much fun that we kept it up for the laughs. Story 49. Yes, it is very obvious. They can laugh about any stupid thing you say. When I am in a relationship, I keep my boundaries and respect my significant other. Story 50. Check outside my apartment building when I get home for unfamiliar people. I would assume I was being targeted for organ harvesting. Story 51. Am I single? I would flirt back. Am I married? I would try to remove myself from the situation, either with words or movement. Story 52. I imagine you would get stiff and not know what to say. Flirting with girls is not hard. What defense mechanisms could arise, I do not know these days. Probably shying away so she does not notice your insecurities or something. Story 53. First thought is to protect my kidneys. In general, I am thinking, what is the scam here? Obviously, she wants my money or she wants to kill me or something like that. Story 54. I'm a tall, skinny, dorky, middle-aged white guy from the suburbs of a Midwest city. I know who I am. I immediately start thinking, who are you and what do you want? No one flirts with me unless they want something, usually money. Story 55. Extremely flattered. It has happened a few times. It is so rare that you almost always want to reward the effort. However, women can be creepy too. Story 56. As an engaged man, it would make my week, but I would be clear that I am not interested. Then I would randomly think about it for the rest of my life because it is rare to get attention from strangers. Story 57. Somewhat intrigued but very suspicious. Maybe she is just flirty in general. If not, I am likely thinking she wants something from me depending on the situation and location, either directly financially trying to sell me something, some free drinks at a bar, or for me to perform some sort of manual labor service. Odds are the physical part she may imply she will not follow through with at all. Either it is non-existent or severely limited to little touches at the introduction. Story 58. Defense mode? Only when I am truly unattracted to them, or their flirting was too gaudy or embarrassing, or even because of their drunken behavior. I have laughed it off more than a few times before, though some reactions were taken negatively, if I remember correctly. But I hate to echo what others have said. Sometimes, I just notice too late, and the moment is over, completely blowing the chance for an easy segue into conversation. Story 59. I have received subtle signals that I did not understand. I am fairly certain this stems from a lack of self-confidence, so I always assumed that nobody would want anything to do with me. Story 60. I just got out of a 9-year relationship and I am not looking for anything at the moment. I am flattered though. Really not that hard to say. Story 61. On one or two occasions I can think of, the best description of my reaction would have to be fight or flight. And I do not hit women. Story 62. I am either too clueless to realize it or I realize it, but I assume there is a long con happening to me because of a cruel joke. Story 63. It happened once with me. I thought it was a dumb joke from my friends and told her I was not interested. Story 64. Where am I? If I am in Las Vegas or on vacation, it is almost certainly a prostitute or a honeypot trying to get me alone somewhere to rob me. If it is a girl on the younger side, like college-aged, it is probably on a dare and she is just doing it for a laugh with her friends watching. If it is genuine, there is probably something really wrong with her, like she has daddy issues or she is lonely for some other reason due to a serious character flaw or mental problem. If she is a well-balanced individual with no serious problems and it is coming from a good place, now we are in the tiny minority of occasions when something good can come of it. Then, and only then, will her approach be socially appropriate, and I will definitely be oblivious and totally miss the opportunity. In summary, there is absolutely no possibility of things working out for both of us, so let me save you the trouble. I will stay home and you stay home. It is cheaper, and neither of us ends up feeling like something could have been. Story 65. I found out that when my best friend and I were pretending to fight, she grabbed my hand and did not let go for an hour after I joked about her holding my hand. Story 66. I just act dumb and annoy them until they stop. I love my babe much more than to disrespect her like that. Story 67. Self-defense? Like what? Start shooting blood from my tear ducts at them. Kidding aside, self-defense is honestly just me being nervous. I'm usually nervous around people, especially someone attractive. So my brain tends to malfunction throughout the whole conversation until it's over. If we connect well, then that trick won't work, but I might end up with a good friend or something more. Story 68. Probably just being a nice, normal human being, and I am reading too much into things. 2 years later, I suddenly realized that she may have been seriously interested in me. Story 69. I would flirt back until it was time to go. Then I would leave and spend the rest of my day worrying that she thought I was making unwanted advances. Story 70. I would be clueless, but if it was heavy, I would be very suspicious. I would feel like it is a setup. Story 71. Assuming I notice it, I will immediately assume it is a joke or that someone put them up to it. More often than not, the woman will deny that she was ever flirting and that the friendship is now ruined. If this is at a place of work, all the other coworkers will quickly hear about it and my reputation will be tarnished. So I will laugh it off, assume it is light teasing and not a romantic indicator, and continue on with my life as though I had not seen any indications. Story 72. My self-defense mode would be to reach for my back pocket to see if I remembered to bring my protective contraceptives with me or not. Story 73. You are asking this question to a man who once said to a girl who wanted a bite of his ice cream, one he had already taken a bite of, "Yeah, I don't like germs. Go get your own." Story 74. I would not know, and if it were so obvious that I noticed, I would probably let them know that I am twice divorced with a teenage son who lives with his mother while I live with my dying parents and have no income to speak of. Story 75. Flirting or fighting? I would go Crane style or maybe even Tiger. If she is fluent in the arts, then I would consider Krav Maga. If she is flirting, then I would man up and get her number. Story 76. It took months for me to realize that my girlfriend was flirting with me. I just thought she was being nice, and I definitely was not going to presume anything more. Eventually, it clicked. Story 77. I'm not sure many women know how to flirt in a way that is different from normally interacting with someone in a friendly manner. If they did, I wouldn't feel any need to go into self-defense mode unless they were very objectionable in some way. With most people, I would be fine with it. Story 78. I would look around for cameras. Someone is definitely pranking me, and I do not want to give them the benefit of seeing me disappointed and ashamed. Story 79. I'd be very wary. I grew up undesirable, weird, and bullied. That wired me to be hyper-aware of insincerity. Playful flirting can feel loaded because I feel people are mocking me, even if they are not. The harder part is telling the difference between politeness and actual interest. If someone is flirting, it usually flies right past me. I rarely realize it in the moment. Thanks to bullying and poor social development, my radar got trained in the wrong direction. Story 80. 99% of the time, I do not notice or pick up on it. Then there was that time a sex worker tried to make me a customer during a bachelor party, and I refused her as she approached. I am married and do not play around. Story 81. I would definitely be wondering what her motive was or what the scam was. I have never experienced a random woman flirting with me out of nowhere. Story 82. No woman who has flirted with me has ever been direct enough the first 3 times for me to even notice that she is doing it. Story 83. Once, when I was a driver for a delivery service, there was a sports bar I regularly picked up from, so I knew almost all the employees well. One woman would often skip her actual job to hang out and talk to me. After a week of that, I realized what was happening and gently told her, "Thank you, but I am not interested." Regarding a situation involving a defensive response, there was a woman in college who was very pushy with her flirting. She regularly tried to catch me alone. I was actively avoiding her as a defense mechanism because she wouldn't take no for an answer. One day, I saw her with her friends and walked up to say, "Michelle, I do not like you. I do not want to have a relationship with you, be friends with you, or engage in any sort of interaction. We do not know each other. Please leave me alone." That resulted in about a week of her friends calling me names, but I never had another issue after that. Those are the only 2 times I have been approached by women in 32 years. Story 84. I usually try to be funny and end up saying something awkward. Then they move away looking bewildered. I reflect on how lucky I am to have met my wife, who is just as weird as I am. Story 85. Most of the people who flirted with me wanted a one-night stand, and I would ruin it for myself without knowing. Story 86. As a man, you do not have to be defensive. Just carry the conversation and laugh it off. If she asks something directly like, "Do you want to come over?" just say, "Thank you." If she is not crazy, that is the end of it. Story 87. As long as she, like I would, respects clear signals that I am not interested, I find it very agreeable because I tend to be blind to social cues and am less likely to flirt. I prefer not to risk spoiling a friendship by looking for more. Story 88. Basically, they just start saying things they would never tell anyone unless they were good friends or be interested in you. Check. Are you her friend? No? Then there is a reason she is telling you her ex will not stop texting her back. There is a reason she is complaining about being alone. There is always a reason, and if you pick up on that, it means you are interested. If you do not pick up on it, she will probably not even care that much. Story 89. It is best to assume they are not flirting because if you are wrong, there can be significant legal and social issues. Story 90. Define flirting. First of all, what many women consider flirting is often not obvious, like giving the look or smiling. Just for your information, men usually do not pick up on subtle cues unless it is blatantly obvious, such as posting a sign on a baseball bat and hitting someone in the face with it. Otherwise, men might think you are just being polite or that there is some other motive. Story 91. It depends on how hard they are coming on to me. If they are not going very strong, I literally do not notice. If they are, I assume they want to steal my kidneys. Story 92. Act polite and disengage. No one has ever engaged with me in such a fashion except one coworker who I was openly warned about before I started working. She tries to sleep with anything and everyone and hardly talks about anything except sex. So that was not flirting. That was a literal, actual promiscuous person that I was forewarned about. Story 93. I would never be able to recognize it. If she touched me, I would probably just assume it was a mistake or something. No one has ever flirted with me, so I do not even know what it would look like. Story 94. Yes, but it was not verbal. It was unwanted physical contact at first, but she did not want to ruin what she was doing. Story 95. Future life with her flashes before my eyes, from dating to marriage to raising children to death. Story 96. If I sense a woman starts flirting, I always assume she is not sincere. I act nice and awkward, and I do not take it seriously. In my past, the vast majority of times women have flirted with me, it was not sincere. Story 97. Yes, when it happens, I start rationalizing so I do not get my hopes up. She is just being nice. She is just horsing around on top of me. Am I really that unattractive that they keep daring her to make out with me? She probably just wants someone to keep her company while she changes. Story 98. Self-defense mode? I would keep my distance and rely on my footwork for the most part. If they engage me and I cannot circle away, I would try to initiate a clinch and use foot sweeps to minimize damage. Story 99. I frown too much and am generally cold to people I do not know well. It has happened once or twice that I realized what was going on while it was happening, but I did not reciprocate due to bad experiences of trying to chat with women who were only being friendly. Story 100. If I find a girl flirty, I try to be open and funny. I navigate situations relatively quickly. However, this is the easy part. The more difficult part begins when you start to meet a girl more closely. It is easy to get in touch with me. I have almost no requirements at this stage, but it becomes much more difficult later. Story 101. I usually jump at the opportunity unless I am not attracted to the girl. Then it is friend zone for them. Story 102. Lately, for some reason, a few women at work have touched my forearm or stared at me. Could this be flirting? I have no idea. Whatever it is, it makes me mildly uncomfortable. Story 103. According to my female friends, I have been flirted with a few times without noticing. However, I remember two occasions when I did notice. The first time, a girl approached me with a really pretty smile and took my hand. That was nice. The second time, a work colleague tried to kiss me unexpectedly. I recoiled and asked her what she was doing. Story 104. Panic mode activated. Awkward laugh, confused smile, then immediate overthinking for the next 48 hours. Yes, it has happened, and yes, I still question if it was actually flirting. Story 105. I usually notice it but choose to ignore it. I have been tricked and toyed with too many times by ill-intentioned women. Story 106. Once I was doing a simple procedure on a patient. As a normal thing for me, I was making small talk with the patient while performing the procedure, but my mind was focused on the task. Apparently, she was flirting with me enough for the nurse assisting me to become silent. After we were done, the nurse said, "Doctor, do you know she was flirting with you?" I had no clue. The patient was hinting for me to go with her to a concert of a band we both enjoyed. She mentioned having a +1 and that her friend canceled on her. She also said she was recently single and asked if I was seeing anyone. I thought we were just talking about weekend plans. Needless to say, I fumbled by saying, "Oh, I hope you find someone to go with you. You seem to really enjoy that band. I am not really that much of a fan, and I am just looking forward to playing some Baldur's Gate 3 this weekend. I just got into Act 2. Yes, I talked about Baldur's Gate 3 for a while with her while she asked me some questions about it because she was interested. Story 107. I would ignore it and start walking away. From experience, this only happens if they want something. Story 108. If your first response to someone flirting with you is to go on the defensive, get some help. To answer your question, if I managed to notice it in the first place, I would be flattered but most likely let them down gently, laugh it off, or something similar unless I was looking for a relationship. Story 109. Almost every woman who has shown interest in me first has been unhinged. After about 15 girlfriends, I have had only one or two who were not unstable. I would distrust this hypothetical woman without hesitation. Story 110. I get it frequently, usually from those I am not interested in. Usually, I turn on the cringe, being extra passive and nice, clingy, and talking about my feelings. It sends them packing and evaporates the projection they had of me. Story 111. If I had understood in the moment that I was being flirted with, I would probably feel suspicious. That has never happened to me, and it would be too good to be true. Story 112. If I knew they were flirting, I would probably freak out. But if they were respectful of how I felt and still interested, I would be won over. Story 113. I heard that flirting back works well. However, if you are unattractive, just be cordial. They usually get the message. Story 114. When single, I returned the flirting if I found her attractive. Often, it ended with dates or just in bed. When I am not single, I make sure they know that quickly. Story 115. Women do not flirt with us. That is just superstition. Women flirting with men is like saying the Loch Ness Monster is real. Story 116. If a woman persistently flirts with you, there is nothing you can do to stop her. Regardless of your relationship status, she will pursue you relentlessly. Your only option is to run and keep running. Story 117. Do women start flirting? Man, I learned nothing in women's studies class in college. To be fair, I should have read the syllabus first. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.